There is power in the tongue. We hold the keys to destruction of ourselves with a ripple effect, our edification, a building, a self actualization that Abraham Maslow talked about. And we have references of the tongue and how powerful it is in many religious texts as well as books that are out there regarding, as a man thinketh. When you think about James Allen, Louise Hay, um, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, Martin Luther King, there is power in our words. But I want to take a step back because, of course, this is create a generational love cycle. And when we're talking about power, yes, there is power in our words, but that power actually comes from our thoughts, what we're thinking. Are we thinking in a healthy way, an unhealthy way? Are we holding in anger, resentment, shame? Are we feeling insecure about our day and what we are to accomplish for that day? Because I tell you, many of the things that we see, bullying type behavior, name calling, violence, fights. My son was seeing fights in his school. And he was like, "Oh, mom," even before he came, he said, "Mom, I just have a feeling it's gonna get worse." Whether that was a self-fulfilling prophecy or he knew in his being that there were other things that were going to happen. When we speak to our children, when we say things that are on our minds, we don't realize the ripple effect that's going to happen. There are a lot of, I believe, adults. There were once, of course, children that listened to their mothers and fathers talk, our grandfathers, aunts and uncles, friends of the family talk about things and internalized it, whether it was meant for good. They saw it and they wanted to be like that person. They wanted to stand up for what was right. Or they ended up taking out hate on others. They end up spewing the very venom that they heard their parents saying or anyone saying, and they give it to others. There is power in our tongues. And we want to know why. You've heard it before. I've said it. I've seen a posting from Barack Obama that children are not born to be racist or prejudiced or to hate others. I believe they are fresh from this vine of love, this spirit of love. And it's when they come into the world, they realize, is that how this life is supposed to be? Is that how I'm supposed to react to a certain culture, to a certain religious person or group, to a certain color, to a certain gender? Sons hear their fathers talking about women, whether in a positive light or in a negative light, and they think that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to talk to you that way. And there's no, often you might have minute breakthroughs to say, I don't think this is right, but it's that constant feeding, that cultivation of the mind that I've been working on this manuscript, the cultivation of our inner garden, continually to sow seeds of negativity, of divisiveness, of judgment, of discrimination, prejudice. We think about diversity and inclusion, and I get all the things that we're trying to do, meetings and, talking about things. And, I not too long heard that many states are trying to get rid of that. And it's not so much appreciating others, but it's getting to the root cause of why there is a disrespect toward others. And often that disrespect lies in oneself. Because if we truly knew the divine of the human spirit, if we truly knew that we're all here handcrafted to perfection, we're all here to reflect truth and love, then we wouldn't do those things. And that's what, I learned as a child. I was just like, when I'm going through my experiences with my father and being in the darkness, dark wilderness, I said, this is not the way life is supposed to be. There has to be more to life. We're not supposed to sit here and struggle and be sad and shameful and so angry, and those rivers of doubt and anger and low self-esteem and confidence that flow through our faces, and the howling voices that we hear out of our mouths, and the rage that we have inside. That is not how life is supposed to be. And it's in our thoughts and our beliefs that get curtailed by the words that we speak to people at young age. Because it's not about blaming. You can blame people, but blaming does not solve the problem. If anything, it increases the anger, the anxiety, the fear, because now you're blaming somebody else, and they're like, well, wait a minute, I heard that from my father. And then you go blaming your father, and your father's like, well, I heard that from my father. Everybody has a story of where these thoughts, these weed-like thoughts that literally rob us of our nourishment of those seeds of compassion and hope and forgiveness and acceptance and love and patience and kindness and joy. We have those spiritual fruits that are within us. Galatians 5:22-23. And again, as a child, it's not so much about being religious. And I've mentioned this before. It's about getting to the truth that will resonate with you. When you've allowed yourself to be open to see there's more to life than what you're experiencing. There's more to life than guilt and shame. There's more to life than feeling like you have to hide your thoughts. Many people are doing that behind relationships, spouses, interracial marriages, relationships. We feel like we must hide ourselves, that we can't be our true selves because of the backlash that we will receive. You have a lot of guilt that is growing inside many individuals, a lot of shame, a lot of I can't be myself, a lot of vengeance, a lot of self-hatred, as my son recently talked about when he was talking about bullying. You have a lot of that is circulating here, feeling not good enough. Even though we're successful and have riches and wealth, we still feel like something's missing. And that something missing is actually the alignment with the source of life, that alignment that says, okay, I am beyond my material and physical possessions. They do not control me. And I can be who I am regardless of what others choose to be. And that is the test of character. What I realized as a child is that experiences test our character. And it's a great feeling to go back to that, because when you see that experiences test our character, we limit the amount of blame and shame, and therefore we limit those beliefs and those thoughts, and therefore we prevent from spewing that venom to our children, and therefore our children no longer have that desire to destroy from the inside out and take others with them, but they have a desire to edify, to build. And that's what we're supposed to do. That is what is grounding in the role of parenting, is that even those times when we feel like we're not at our best. I felt that way Monday. I woke up, I was thinking about energy. I listened to the song by, oh my gosh, Wyland, and I can't think of it right now, but good energy. I want good energy. Keep that negativity away from me, making my life what I want to make it. And we all deserve to have that. But I was feeling like all of a sudden it just kind of hit me down on me. Things were popping up and I was just feeling like I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and it wasn't happening. And I was beating myself up mentally. And I even told my son, I said to, my children, I said, I apologize. I didn't say, I wasn't saying anything, but I felt like they could feel my presence, that I was just not in the best mood. I made, my thing is that if I'm going through, I try to keep it with me, right? I try not to bring it out into the world, because when you bring it out into the world, then you're affecting other people and they see it, just like your behavior and thoughts. And I told him, mom was not in the best um, mood today. Something happened, and I explained that I felt like I wasn't able to get things done, and I talked to them, and I, my mom, what she would always say is that live another day, live another day. And I'm so thankful of not taking my emotions and feelings to heart, because if you just stay with me, God says, if you just stay with me and live another day, you will get past this. There was something I read, and I'm reading Florence Shen Scoville's books, her complete works, and there's a saying in there about darkness before the dawn, right? That sometimes we feel in those moments where we're dark. But if we just hold on and work ourselves through that and feel those emotions without projecting them on others, there will be a new light. Because often, when we're frustrated and angry, we say things that we don't mean to say. And our children hear, and they go and do stuff out in the community, say, but dad, you said you didn't like these people. And look what I did. I kicked them and I bullied them. I hit them, I slapped them. I said something, that you said that day. And dad is like, well, I was just, telling you how I felt. I didn't mean for you to do that, son. And son is behind bars because of what he did. He felt like he needed to do. He took on that anger, frustration of his father, put it inside him, and projected it on others. So for me, when I reflect back on dealing with our emotions, I think we have to be, as Eckhart Tolle talks about, we have to be in the moment. We have to be an observer of ourselves. Consciousness is what we strive to do. Consciousness, because you've heard of people saying, hey, I did something, but I don't remember what I did. Hey, I said something, but I don't remember what I said. We have to strive for consciousness. We have to be aware of the mood that we are in, our changes, and we have to remember that it's okay to face those emotions and feelings, because they are there. They're popping up for a reason, and they are not to make you bitter or make you worse, but to bring out the best in you. So you can recognize them and say, why am I feeling this way? Why are these coming? And you can get to the heart of it, to the root of it, and pull that weed out before you plant that seed in someone else. So it's being more conscious and aware of ourselves, taking the time, not rushing so much, and really spending quality time with ourselves, and really seeing that shift from a positive to a negative mood, if you will, from a negative to a positive. And really, just being conscious of that. I don't want to spill this onto someone else, telling them I need a moment, writing stuff down. If you have to share, you share it in such a way that you give the facts. It's okay for you to talk about if you feel scared about something. If you feel scared that somebody's going to take your job, someone of the opposite color or opposite sex. When we get to the heart of the matter, we help our children to do the same. Instead of covering things up with anger and fear and worry, we say what's on our minds. And then we have to realize that when one door, as you know, when something closes, when one door closes, another one opens. We have to look for those opportunities. And the only way we're really going to see those opportunities if we stay conscious. If we say, that I'm gonna ride this out. I'm gonna be here in the moment because I want to know more about what's going on with myself so that I can be able to help other people. And having those honest conversations with ourselves first, and then having it with our children. And I told my children yesterday, I said, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel like you're not productive, but talk that through. Reason that out. Do the best you can for that day and then move on, because you don't want to be like everything's perfect, everything's just lolly-da, because that's sending a false message too as well. But knowing and preparing our children that some days you're not going to feel your best. That's what I told them. You're not going to feel your best, but know that you are the master of your emotions and feelings. You are the master of your tongue. I'll talk to you guys soon. Hey, you can catch me on social media pages. I do have Fulfill Your Divine Purpose, where I'm constantly revamping that to reach out and to really say, hey, we all have a divine purpose here. Every one of us is here for a reason. There are no mistakes. There are no coincidences. And then how can you do your work without trampling over others? How can you do your work with staying in the best mindset, mental health? How can you do your work with nourishing your body with the right fuel, so that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor? And breaking down those barriers, such as myths that you have to be a statistic of heart disease and colon cancer and all that stuff. You don't have to be anything but yourself. And you have every right to design your life in such a way that you achieve your heart's desires, because they were placed there for a reason. Remember, you have the power to destroy as well as to build. You have the power to have joy as well as to have anger, sadness, consistent anger and sadness. You have the power to create a generational love cycle. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care of yourself. And as always, make this lifetime great, because you still can.